Faisal sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm. Am I audible?
Yes. Am I
Yes, sir.
audible?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Aarti, we can start.
Okay. 1 minute. A very warm welcome to all. It is a wonderful day, and I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all the participants over here. And I thank to all our participants for massive response over 800 and plus registrations. Now, without any further delay, we will start with today's symposium on gross national happiness and COVID-19, rethinking resilience and rebuilding societies. All your questions are welcome. You can put your questions in the chat box, which will be answered during question and answer session. We will put feedback link in the chat box during vote of thanks. Vice Chancellor of Muhammad Ali Jauhar University, Professor Sultan Mohammad Khan, was very keen to be present in today's webinar. But because of his health issues, he can't be with us. Let us pray for his speedy recovery. Now I will request Principal of KA Shroff College, Dr. Lily Bhushan Madam, to welcome our audience. Over to you.
Ma'am, you are on mute. Madam, you are on mute. Aarti, ma'am is co-host, right?
Yes, she is.
But ma'am is not able to unmute herself.
Okay. I have done again.
Yes.
Good to go, ma'am.
A very pleasant and safe good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our esteemed guests, Dr. Daud Faruqui, Madam Anna Rosengren from Sweden. Dr. Faruqui is Director, Center for Evidence-Based Policy, Practices and Intervention. Dr. Faisal H. Rizvi from the Department of Psychology, MAJ University, Rampur. I am really happy to know that such esteemed personalities have joined hands with us and have kindly consented to be with us as guest speakers for the symposium on rethinking, resilience, and rebuilding societies. As a wonderful topic on gross national happiness. And Madam Anna Rosengren, who is also a GNH priest from Sweden. I'm sure, ma'am, your inputs will be wonderful. I must congratulate the WDC for choosing such a wonderful topic, gross national happiness, especially in these COVID times when there is misery seen all around us and all of us want to come out of this chaotic situation as soon as possible. Gross national happiness is supposed to be much more important than the gross domestic product of a country. And we are very sorry to note that India ranks 139 out of 149 countries. Finland is at the topmost. And even Pakistan is ahead of us. Bhutan is doing very well. They have incorporated gross national happiness as one of the main core philosophies of that country. And they are doing wonderfully well so far as happiness is concerned. So what we need to learn from today's symposium is how we as individuals, how we as teachers, how we as institutions, how we as part of the society and part of the country can contribute in developing gross national happiness index and finding a way much ahead of 139. I think last year we were 140. We have scaled only 1 point above, and that is today we are at 139, which for a country like India, which has a mega presence in the world map, is not faring well due to various reasons. So we all we should be stakeholders of gross national happiness, and we should try our level best to be to rank much ahead countries like Finland, Norway, Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, These are the countries, the European countries who are doing very well, and we need to learn from them. And I'm sure Madam Anna is going to give us some very good inputs. If a country like Bhutan in Asia, such a small country, can think of the gross national happiness paradigm, then we definitely, the second largest populated country of the world, we need to work upon. And I'm sure today's symposium will be a guiding light and a beacon of hope to scale up our national happiness index. Thank you and welcome to all the renowned speakers once again on behalf of our management, the Kandivali Education Society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for your kind words. May I now request Ms. Vaishali Oja of WDC to introduce our first guest, that is Dr. Faisal Hassan Rizvi, to our audience. Over to you, Vaishali.
Thank you, Aarti. I feel elated to introduce our speaker, Dr. Faisal Hassan Rizvi, a person of virtue and simplicity. He is an inspiration for young researchers and psychologists. Dr. Hassan is an assistant professor at Department of Psychology, MJ University, Rampur. He is a proud alumnus of Aligarh Muslim University. Dr. Hassan is a lab member at Dr. Bedi's lab based at Faculty of Education, University of British Columbia, Vancouver, BC, Canada. He is co-created GNH Sweden with the frontline civil activists and entrepreneurs from Stockholm in sync with GNH Bhutan. He is also a member of International Network of Personal Meaning based in Ontario, UN, Canada. Sir was conferred with Excellent Academic Contribution Award by Oxford Evidences and Intervention Limited, UK, during ICEPS 2017 in Thimphu, Bhutan. Dr. Hassan was worked closely with Tharu tribal of Terai region of India, falling at foothill of Shivalik ranges of Himalayas, for which he was honored as youth icon. He was speaker at Guardian Activate Summit themed as Transparency and Change in Digital Age in Johannesburg, South Africa. He is currently engaged in creating an international network of GNH practitioners spread across the world and poised to investigate the intriguing mind, body, and soul interface to understand the spiritual brain. Thank you, Dr. Faisal, for all your guidance and support. You are truly model in so many ways. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. Am I audible and visible too?
Yes, very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, a very good morning to all the participants, the staff, the organizers, Shali ma'am, Gandre ma'am, everyone. Good morning. So, before I begin, I would like to share a video with you all. Is my screen visible to you?
No, sir. You just try for one more time. Okay. Just share.
Okay. A video for you all. Just pay attention.
Morning, Asha. Settle down. Today's assignment is a little bit different to what we usually do. Today, I've got a question that I want you to answer. And the question is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, I want you to think about this very carefully. Answer it honestly. Don't worry about what people are going to think because nobody else is going to see this. I do want you to think about why. Take your time and answer this honestly. All right, class, that's all we have time for today. Can I please have your sheets as you're leaving? Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Well done Shroff. Have a nice day. Thank you, Boomy. Thank you, John. Bye, Chance. John, can I speak to you for a second? Yes, sir. John, I think you misunderstood the assignment. Okay? I think you misunderstood life.
So that was it. I hope you saw what John wrote on this sheet. Did anyone see?
Yes, sir.
So it was happy. He wanted to be happy, right? We all want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? But do we all know how to be happy? Like happiness is a very objective concept. Like my happiness means something else to me. Your happiness might mean something else. But there is a concept, gross national happiness, which has been proposed by Bhutan, and it has been in fact influencing Bhutan in a very positive manner. So much so that it has become the world's happiest country. You might have heard about Bhutan being the happiest country, having the HDI, the highest HDI. Now it's like a little bit down in the happiness index, but it has been there. It has been there. It has given this concept of gross national happiness to the world. So I'm here to present my insights, to give you insights about the gross national happiness, so that you may have the insights, the understanding of basic understanding of the gross national happiness concept, which the speakers will take on after me. So this is gross national happiness, and I will be giving you some brief insights about how gross national happiness could be very helpful in battling COVID-19. So my title is Rethinking, in sync with the theme of the symposium, Rethinking Resilience and Rebuilding Societies. So what is gross national happiness? The phrase gross national happiness was basically given by the King Fourth of Bhutan in 1972, King Jigme Singye Wangchuk. He declared that gross national happiness was more important than gross domestic product. He was surprised that even if they had very less resources in their country, you might be aware that Bhutan was known to be a very poor country earlier, like 2 decades or 3 decades earlier. It was known to be a very poor country, and suddenly now it's the happiest country. So what's the connection between poverty and happiness? So there is some connection. Let's see what it is. The concept implies that sustainable development should be a holistic approach towards notion of progress, and it should be giving importance to non-economic aspects of well-being. Right? When all the other countries in the world, when they evaluate their GDP or GNP or SDI, they take into account the per capita income, PCI, and there are a few more concepts which are to be taken for the calculation of GDP and GNP. But Bhutan has developed this GNH model, which has 9 dimensions. So we'll see what those 9 dimensions are. It is now known as GNH Index. It has been validated and it has been empirically tested. The GNH Index includes both traditional areas of socio-economic well-being concern as living standards, health, education, traditional aspects of culture, and psychological well-being. The GNH Index now includes 9 domains. First one is psychological well-being. That is my concern. That's why I am becoming a GNH practitioner, because psychology is there. Psychology is everywhere. Health, that is the concern why we are assembled here, why we are having this discussion, why we are having this symposium here, because health is a concern right now, because the world is battling COVID-19 outbreak. So health is a very, very big concern and very primary concern of GNH. Education, obviously we all are nowhere if we don't have proper education. Third is time use, and fourth one is very important.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, sir, just wanted to confirm, are you sharing some PPT?
Yes, I am sharing.
Because that video is shared for last 2-3 minutes. So you can again reshare it. Just select share screen. Yes.
I'll do that.
Yes. Now the PPT is visible. Earlier it was video.
Okay. The gross national happiness, as I told you, the concept was given by gross national happiness was by the King Fourth, Jigme Singye Wangchuk in 1972. He had declared, you might have came across this phrase, gross national happiness is more important than gross national domestic product. There were some films in Bollywood as well as Hollywood which have like mentioned gross national happiness. A film which was nominated at Oscars, I think it won it also. Lunchbox, it won at Oscars, yes. So it mentioned gross national happiness of Bhutan. So the index includes 9 domains. First one is psychological well-being, then health, education, time use, cultural diversity, and resilience. Resilience is our concern today. Cultural diversity, like how we preserve our culture. Good governance, that is one of the like pillar of becoming a good democracy or a country progressing as a nation. Then community vitality, ecological diversity. We are nowhere when we don't pay attention to our environment and ecology. And of course, the living standards. This constitutes the GNH index, these 9 domains. So these are the 4 pillars of GNH. Are they visible to you?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, the first one is environmental conservation.
You are on mute, sir. You are on mute. एक बार वापस से unmute करिए, sir. Yes.
The 4 pillars of GNH are environmental conservation, good governance, sustainable and equitable socio-economic development, and preservation of culture. These are the 4 pillars. The United Nations has recognized the GNH model in 2011. The UN has unanimously like recognized it as the proper standardized GNH model. It was empirically proven and validated. So it was followed by a very high level meeting, which themed around happiness and well-being. They were like defining a new economic paradigm designed to bring world leaders, experts, and civil society together. That's how GNH is being like incorporated in other countries around the world. This builds on the GNH model of Bhutan, pioneering work to develop the GNH index. So Oxford University is one of the pioneers which is working on GNH. This is how GNH index works. If the 9 domains are calculated and persons are ranking 70% and above, they are deeply happy. If they rank between 66 to 76%, they are considered extensively happy. Narrowly happy are the people who are ranking between 50 and 65%. And I'm not sharing the unhappy people because it is somewhere below 50%. So no unhappiness here. So as we all know, Bhutan is known as the happiest country in the world, and the reason is their GNH index. Okay. So gross national happiness and COVID, why this discussion is important right now. The world after outbreak of COVID has been stumbling and it has fallen flat as the news, unfortunate news started breaking out from China, Italy, and Iran. The pandemic has alerted mankind in many ways, and it has told us that how unprepared we are. No country of the world remains unaffected by the lethal virus that has claimed many lives, and almost every second or third person has been affected. Every person has been affected. Some of the relatives, some of the friends, some of the acquaintances, but none of us are unaffected. So this is a concern. People across the globe have experienced health issues due to the span of the increase in coronavirus, and its path of progression has taken several turns, like the mutations and the various variants. The mutations and probable waves, the third wave is like imminent. People are talking about it already. So we must think about like how do we deal with that? Since GNH is having health as a concern, so this model could be used. Like Bhutan is a small country. I'm not saying, I'm not proposing, I'm not suggesting that it should be incorporated as it is in Bhutan, in case of India, but state-wise, like we have some arrangement at state levels. State-wise, we can do that. Like we impose lockdowns state-wise. So we could use these models state-wise. At the moment when fear psychosis is observed at an all-time high, looking at the brighter side has become imperative. We all need hope. We are each other's hope. Mankind's only hope is mankind itself. Together, we can surmount any amount of challenges as we rise by lifting others. If we decide to become each other's support, any destination could be reached. Behavior modification, that's a concern in psychology. Behavior modification has played a key role in combating the pandemic, be it a social distancing, wearing a mask, hand washing, and everything. That is part of behavior. We have been modifying our behaviors to be safe, to stay safe, to stay protected. Change in the behavior has yielded great results and has given hope to humanity and a confidence. Like we have a confidence that this too shall pass. We'll battle it all together. So the spiritual attitude of Bhutan has put them apart. They are like, if you all are aware or not, I'm not sure, but Bhutan has reported zero deaths of COVID. So that's a surprise. What is resilience? Why are we talking about resilience? So let's see. Resilience is the ability to mentally or emotionally cope with a crisis or to return to the pre-crisis status quickly. It exists when the person uses mental processes and behaviors in promoting personal assets and protecting self from the potential negative effects of stressors. So resilience can help us in battling the stress, the actual fears of COVID-19. Resilience it exists in people who develop psychological and behavioral capabilities which allow them to remain calm during crisis and to move on, to transcend, to migrate from a negative situation to a positive situation that is imminent. So Bhutan's response to COVID-19, why Bhutan is an example for the world. Bhutan is a lower middle income country with limited tertiary care. Like they don't have multi-specialty hospitals, tertiary care, health infra, and shortage of human resources. The country's response to COVID-19 pandemic has been guided by the principles of gross national happiness, which prioritizes the well-being and happiness of the people over conventional socioeconomic indicators. The king's leadership and government's decisions based on public health science help in the control of the pandemic and reduce economic losses. So they suffered less. Obviously, that's a good thing. They suffered less. They suffered less economical and financial losses. They suffered less medical losses, and they suffered less losses of life. The government implemented some of the unique and unconventional public health measures. This is to be kept in mind that health is one of the concern of one of the domains of GNH Index. It comes in number 3. The government implemented some unique and unconventional public health measures, such as facility quarantine for those with high risk exposure, an increase in the quarantine period to 21 days, 21 days of quarantine was practiced there, free testing and treatment, and population-based screening tests. Early and extensive contact tracing, extensive testing, effective communications, zoned travel restrictions, and adoption of physical distancing and hygienic measures limited COVID-19 transmissions within the country. Community participation from voluntary groups and civil society organizations helped deliver non-health services, while hospitals provided uninterrupted routine health services through its primary healthcare network. So this is something which is to be remembered and taken note of. All COVID-19 cases were treated in hospitals, and the country has had zero reported COVID-19 deaths, zero deaths. So GNH as a policy, how this model could be used and utilized as a policy in states as well as countries, as far as we are concerned, in the case of India, the GNH Index supports policy making within Bhutan. Right now, it's for the Bhutan. The model is working in Bhutan. Policy selection tools are used to review the potential effects of proposed policies of GNH, and the results of the GNH Index are tracked over time to evaluate interventions. This GNH policy lens requires that the policy consequences on all relevant dimensions could be considered prior to the implementation of those policies. In addition, the project screening tools are to be implemented in nearly 20 project areas, including agriculture, forestry, trade, manufacturing, media, and information, as well as a project that focus on the 9 dimensions. The stated goal is that all government projects and policies work together to maximize the GNH. So the GNH for rebuilding societies. So it is said in Bhutan, if any one of you have visited Bhutan or have been there, you might have been aware that there's a phrase which is very popular, that happiness is a place, and that place is Bhutan. They believe in that. So for rebuilding societies, GNH is very useful. Implication of GNH and how it could change the world. While Bhutan is currently the only country using the GNH model, it is gathering momentum in many other places. The GNH has been very influential in Brazil and Canada, and has some support in the United States in form of the non-profit called GNH USA. So Sweden has also we have a guest waiting now, Anna Rosengren. So Anna Rosengren has been very instrumental. So Sweden has got its share of GNH by a team of philanthropists, researchers, thinkers, and academicians. And it is now known as GNH Sweden. It was established in 2015, November, after the 7th GNH conference in Paro, Bhutan, by Anna Rosengren, a very good friend and a very respected GNH practitioner in the world. So she'll be speaking. You're very lucky to hear to her. So it was established, the GNH Sweden was established during the 7th GNH conference in Paro, Bhutan, and Anna was the founder of it. The concept of GNH has once again proved its worth as demonstrated by Bhutan by its response to the pandemic. The way this small country with limited resources have reacted to challenges is an example for all of us. Considering the effectiveness and implications of GNH, it is anticipated that it might bring about the changes in everywhere in the world. Like every country could be benefited the way it has proved its worth, its effectiveness. We can anticipate that it could benefit all of us, even in India. Like if it is worked out state-wise, we can be benefited by it. So these are the references for the reading list. I can share these references, and that's all for now. I hope I have delivered the concept of GNH, and the audience is having an idea of GNH and what being happy is. And just being happy is not enough. You have to be happy in totality. The 9 domains. Remember the 9 domains. So thank you. That's Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek means thank you in Bhutanese, Zonka. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such a valuable knowledge with us. Now I'll request Vaishali ma'am to introduce our next guest, Dr. Anna Rosengren.
Thank you, Aarti. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Aarti. We are blessed to have amidst us Miss Anna Rosengren, who has a vision of unified, enlightened, and a thoroughly happy universe. She is a priest at Church of Sweden. Madam is founder at Ethics in Work Life and Existential Leadership. She has studied MSc in Theology and Ethics at Uppsala University, Sweden. She has authored and co-authored various research papers in national and international journals. She is the initiator and co-creator at GNH Sweden. GNH Sweden is a growing network developing Swedish standards for the value of gross national happiness. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let me see if I can share screens. Maybe I can do that.
Yes, ma'am. You can.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? Well,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Very good. So I will share my screen with you. And this is the. Yeah. Can you see this?
Perfect, ma'am.
Oh, very good. So let's talk a little bit about hope and healing today. I was asked to focus a little extra today on community well-being and on GNH as a kind of a tuning fork for hope and recovery now in the post-COVID communities. How can we find hope and healing again after this shock? global shock. So let's see. Yeah, this is me. You introduced me already, so I don't need to do that again. I just need to correct one thing a little bit. GNH Sweden was actually founded in 2012, in step-by-step like that process. And the conference in Bhutan was, that was one step in the process of developing this community, you can say. But already 2012, we started a group in Sweden. And then Dr. Hassan has been kind enough to bring lots of fire into the equation and to bring more research and more networking globally. So I'm working as a leadership consultant, as an action researcher, and also as a priest in the Swedish church. And this is just to show our collaboration with Bhutan after a conference that we had some years ago. We got this letter of, what you call it? I don't know what you call it in English. It's a kind of a confirmation that they really want to work with us from the part of the Center of Bhutan Studies in GNH. So we feel very blessed to work with them. And what I want to talk to you about today is GNH, hope and healing, but also to talk about some tools for recovery. And when it comes to GNH, hope and healing, I want to talk first about what is happiness and community well-being and why do we need it? What have we learned from COVID-19? And how can GNH help us in this continuous learning and healing? And then when it comes to tools, I'm going to talk about healing collective wounds, how to heal our collective wounds, and how to involve also deep democracy and wisdom of the crowd so that we involve the people in this, so that it doesn't become just a kind of a top-down process, which is somewhat a slight risk in Bhutan, actually. It's an old monarchy and many things are blessed there, but there are also some things like, for example, in Sweden or in India that we can bring to the equation, such as democracy and wisdom of the crowd. And then about meaning making and existential reflection, how we need meaning now and how we need spirituality, you can say, but I would like to call it rather existential reflection, because we need to go beyond religion, also include and transcend, so that we can talk to each other, regardless of what religion. And you see in the background here, I'm painting these icons, but I also have my Buddha and Tara and Ganesh, and you know, we need to go including and transcending all this now. And also I'm going to talk about mindsets and awareness. So you see on the picture, these are the beautiful Swedish birch trees, which I'm learning to like. And yeah. So what is happiness and well-being? I need to also make an excuse for my hat. It's like this, that all these issues have become more and more important for me personally during the years, because I've been working, as you can understand, many years with happiness and well-being. And also the COVID situation made me, as well as everyone else, more alert on these issues. And to add on this, I also have a personal experience. I have gone through, or I'm going through, a cancer treatment the last year. So that's why I have my hat, because I'm off hair just now. So it's a bit protective with this hat. But this cancer has also taught me that it's not only me and my body that has cancer. Society has cancer, and we need to heal from that. Not only cure the disease, but heal and become whole. And I think that happiness is actually our natural state. Happiness is not something that we need to add. Happiness is what we are when we are in our natural mode. It's suffering that blocks us from this happiness. The suffering that we bring on ourselves and each other. So you can say that happiness, in a way, is the absence of suffering. You don't need to be a Buddhist to understand that. And well-being, how can we define that? Yeah, one way is to see it as Dr. Faisal Hassan said, as a balance between all these natural needs. We need all these dimensions. And well-being could also be seen as something deeper than happiness. It's based on values that are beneficial. It's not just a temporary state or a state. It's a kind of a structure of wholeness, I would say. So it's more. That's why I prefer sometimes to talk about well-being, especially in the West, because in the West we have a tendency to mix up happiness with well-being. And when we talk about happiness in the West, people think it sounds superficial. We have it in the same area as greenwash or superficial kind of soap operas and things like that. So in the West, when we talk about this, we often use well-being to understand the depth of it. And what does hope and healing mean now then? I think hope is a kind of a positive belief. It's the capability to influence outcome. I mean, we need to not only have a positive belief, but we need to also feel that we can do something about it, that we have a capability, that we can contribute. Otherwise we feel hopeless also. And we need to trust in something. You can call it God, you can call it ecology, you can call it community. It has to be something more than yourself. You need to put your trust into something larger, something more. And that gives you hope. Yeah, we can talk more about this someday, but I mean, this is the definition I have come up with so far. Healing then, what is healing? That's the same thing, relation as I guess with happiness and well-being. I think healing is deeper. It's not only curing a disease, it's becoming whole. Healing, whole. It means transcending your suffering into something more than you were before. Not just returning to what you were before the COVID-19 or whatever it is, cancer or whatever. It's transcending suffering and becoming more, maturing through it. It's also a relational and spiritual process, or existential if you wish. You cannot heal without also involving your existential layers. And why do we need hope and healing? Maybe it's a silly question. Of course, we know why we need that. I mean, we long for it so deeply. But now, especially since we have gone through a collective crisis and a trauma, I would like to call COVID-19 a trauma, a global trauma, collective trauma, regardless of which country you live in. I mean, even Bhutan is affected by this because it's part of this world. So you cannot just separate yourself and say that, oh, I live in my billionaire villa in outside of Bombay and I'm very happy, or in Bhutan and I wasn't affected. But I mean, we're all in this together somehow, and we are in a crisis. Now, crisis means turning point. The Greek word krisis, it means a kind of a turning point where you discriminate. Am I going to die or live? Am I going to survive or die? What is going to happen now? It's a kind of a important turning point. And this is what COVID has brought us into. What are we going to do now? Suddenly we understand things in a clearer light. It's also a trauma. So what is a trauma? I guess you know that many of you are psychological students, and you know that trauma is not only about the outer conditions, it's about your inner response to it. When it becomes overwhelming and the pain becomes kind of frozen or mute, and we are in a kind of a frozen state of trauma. And then, we will need to heal this. Individually, of course, but also collectively. We need to heal this now. So I'm working just now very much with a program that I call 12-step program for individuals, society, and the planet. I don't know if you know about Alcoholics Anonymous. If you have that in India, I don't know, but it's a program for recovering from alcoholism or substance, the misuse of substances and things like that. And since I'm working in the prison and with many drug addicts, and so I'm working with the 12 steps program very much, but now I'm creating a 12 steps, or have created a 12-step program for recovering from our global self-harming behavior that we have. We have a kind of dysfunction, global dysfunction, you can say. And we need to heal by reconnecting to nature, to our inner core and each other. I mean, just look at this picture. How many times a day do you put your hand on your mobile cell phone? And how many times a day do you put your hand on a tree or something living? We need to reconnect. So as I said, I'm working in the prison as a priest. I'm working as a prison priest, you can say, in the jail. And with all these guys that I meet, this one I meet only on the television screen, but others I meet for real. I don't know if you have seen this Prison Break, the series. It's not very real, but fun. In reality, people are very trapped in this situation, and people are not so bad as you can think, at least not in Sweden. People are wonderful people. I really love my guys in prison, and they really want to change. They really understand the crisis they're in. But during the last year, I have been starting to ask myself and others, who is really in prison? These guys who are locked up and they are tested and they are safe from COVID, or us outside of the prison who are confined in our homes, confined in restricted decisions and behaviors and things like that. Even without COVID, you can ask the same question. Who is really in prison? We all have our prisons. But we have learned, if not before, we have learned from this crisis that we can change. If we really have to, we can change, and nature can heal. It is possible. And this becomes even more of an anxiety then, because we understand that this is really our responsibility. Life is whole and sacred. We have learned this now. And we also start to learn that everything is connected. Not only via Zoom, that everyone has to now connect digitally on the screen like that, which also helps us, of course, to understand that we have with each other, contact with each other in another way, but also that everything is connected in a natural way in the ecosystem. You cannot just, you cannot just disregard women's rights and think that this will not have consequences in the societal body. We understand this now. You cannot just neglect the needs of the nature and think that you will get up, that nothing will happen, and so on. We understand also, like Dr. Hassan said, that well-being is more than money and success. It's not only the economical. Of course, we need this now because we are in a crisis and many people are in an economical crisis. Maybe you're afraid to lose your job, or people cannot be in their shops and sell things because people cannot come and buy them, and so on. And so you lose your money and still have your debts and all that. And it's a trap, of course, it's a prison itself. But we also understand that life and well-being is more than that, because we need each other. What is the meaning of life then? These wounds, I guess, they open for a new kind of meaning now. We are in this crisis, as in any transformation, we have the chance now to change. And we have revealed, during this process, we have revealed the global dysfunction and self-harming behavior that we are in. So also we start to understand in a new way, maybe with the heart also, not only with the head, we understand with our heart also, and maybe our will, that we have these structural imprisonments. Women and children, for example, have understood for a long time, many, many years, many generations, that there are prisons and restrictions that I mean, you don't need a pandemic to understand it. There are some long-term restrictions on certain groups in society. And this is a system error. We cannot have this. Glass ceilings, or whatever you want to call it. Things that stop people from getting into empowerment. We need to change this. And so I think that we need to, in this situation, to heal and to get our hope back together collectively. We need to involve in collective dialogue about system change. And system change is really a process of life and death, you can say. We need to talk about what is really dying. Not only that we have this trauma individually or in our families, that we have lost dear ones and that we are in grief, but the societal body, I mean the community itself. There is also something larger than you and me that has a process of dying and rebirth. So what is dying in society? What is dying in our community? What can we really learn deeply from this? What is passing away now? And what is being born? This is something we need to engage in a dialogue about. So if you have a cell phone, please take a photo of this and go out and talk to people about this. Remember these questions. Talk about it. And let's talk about it not only in small clusters and here and there and randomly, but let's involve people. Let's involve people horizontally, like in the public sector, private sector, academy, NGO, civil society. Let's make clusters like this, like you are doing now. Invite people from all kinds of sectors horizontally. And also vertically involve decision makers, but also those who are affected by the decision. Why not invite children also into the dialogue? This is very important. Involve people in this kind of dialogue, horizontally and vertically. Because we are in this together, we cannot solve it without coming together. And this is called the wisdom of the crowd. The wisdom of the crowd. So when we talk, let's also listen deeper than we normally do. Let's not just download the information like business as usual. Let's listen to the facts. What are the facts? What is really happening? What is the naked truth? Let's open our minds when we talk, at least. But not only that, let's allow this openness to sink into the heart also. So that you see this dot is moving now from one circle into the other. I can listen from your heart to your heart, from my heart to your heart, with an open, warm heart. Listen, how has this been for you? Storytelling, sharing experiences. But let's also allow this openness to sink into the stomach and into the whole body, so that this becomes now embodied. And so that we can listen from the field. This is the existential level, the spiritual level. What is really happening? What is dying? What is being born? What is happening in this crowd, in this community just now? This is the kind of generative listening that will really change us, because this will allow something to die and something else to be born. I think that meaning is not always so simple and easy. Sometimes something gets, something is broken, like a kind of a vase that is very valuable, a vase that you can never replace. When somebody dies, or some project that we have been planning for many years, it doesn't work, like something is broken. And it's difficult to find meaning with that brokenness, maybe. But how to deal with this brokenness? Maybe we can build some new patterns from the broken pieces. Maybe we cannot rebuild what was, but maybe we can build something new from those broken pieces. By sharing stories, allowing our collective grief, because it's not only you and me who are grieving. There is a collective grief. And what does that do to us? Let's talk about that and allow it. Allow space for it. Allow things, conferences, assignments to take more time maybe now, so that it can sink in. When you're doing your assignments in school or in university, I mean, let your articles take time and involve your heart and your stomach and everything. I think, just like Dr. Hassan said, that we can use GNH as a tuning fork for this well-being and this healing and this recovery. It's a map, actually, for analysis and decision. When you make decisions now, why not involve not only mind, heart, and body, soul? Why not involve all these 9 dimensions? See it from different angles so that we don't miss anything. Because we need to become whole now. And this is a holistic mindset. And it's as, I mean, healing on the individual level for you as a kind of a life balance wheel as it is for society and an organization. All these dimensions, we need to be whole. I don't need to repeat them but this is the Swedish, actually. You can photo it if you like. This is a slightly adjusted version of the GNH. We call it Global Natural Harmony in Sweden. GNH for us stands for Global Natural Harmony, because we want to make this a kind of a paradigm that is not only about measuring society, issues, it's about also life balance for individuals and organizations. And it's about nature. So what we have done, for example, we have more focus on cultural diversity than Bhutan. And to be honest, I don't think that Bhutan is very good at diversity work and equality. So we need to improve that in Sweden, because it doesn't work here to have it like that. In New Zealand, I know that they have another kind of focus. They have living standards, broken into more than one category, and they have combined good governance with participation. So like this, we need to adjust it to our different context. This is, you will see in my articles if you want to go deeper into it, this is my model of how to combine the global goals with the GNH, how GNH is deepening and also challenging the global goals, because global goals do not contain inner well-being and time use, for example, not in that way at least. Also, this is challenging the growth paradigm, which the global goals doesn't do. So we are going to need a model that will take us further than 2030. Agenda 2030 will not last long enough. I mean, soon it will be to 2030. This will last. I will not go deeper into this now. I just want to say that we really need a mind shift for all this to happen. We need to take care of this shock, this trauma, this crisis, and allow it to become the mind shift that we need globally. Because like Einstein said, we cannot solve the problems that we created on this level by using the same kind of mindset. We need to deepen or move up, or whatever you want to say. We need to develop, mature. So we need to dig deeper. Not enough to change behavior, not enough to share feelings, not enough even to change our values. We need to dig deeper into our mindset and worldview. I don't know if you have studied Thomas Kuhn, and who founded this idea about paradigm shifts. If you haven't, just please do that. It's a way of understanding how our society and history and humanity has gone through different maturity steps and still are doing. So anytime there is a major crisis like this, we have a chance to mature on a very, very deep level. You can say that it's like a, what you call this kind of house with stories like this. I don't know. Anyway, different stories, different levels like that.
Multi-story house.
Multi-story, okay. Anyway, so you have to realize that we are leading and living from different stories, from different levels like this. And anytime something happens like this, we have a chance to mature. And I would like to call it falling upwards. There is a Franciscan monk called Richard Rohr, if you are interested in spirituality. So please look at YouTube or something. It's a Christian fellow with lots of intellect and heart and understanding. So he talks about falling upwards. When you're falling, actually this is a kind of a falling upwards, because the fall becomes your chance to mature, and you kind of raise your awareness one story. But love also compels us to climb down sometimes and to move up and down in this building. If we want to lead and live a loving life, we also need to adjust whatever projects or process we have to the people, the context around us. So we cannot just think about ourselves. We also need to climb down sometimes. So these are the different levels, stories, you can say, of these different modes. And you can talk about sometime maybe, which level are we on in India, in your community, in your surroundings? Most people in the world are in the blue and the orange. I would like to say that India has been, to a large extent, in the orange level. I mean, it's a kind of a business self-actualization. I mean, generally, collectively. But we need now to develop the next step, which is values, trust, relationships, authenticity, opening the heart. And slowly also integrate, start moving up and down in this building in order to be loving. In Sweden, we have kind of got stuck in the green, orange-green somehow. And we need to become more integrating. This is a whole lecture in itself, so I'll just mention these. You can take a photo of it if you want. And you can read about it in, I will send you some books about it, if you like. Important is that we really need to heal on different, not only on different levels, but also on different arenas. So that personal, cultural, behavioral, and systemic change go together. This women's liberation have known this for ages, like the personal is political, and to work both with the systemic change and with the personal change, and so on. And this is the integral model, where all these areas, you can see this as the rooms. If you have this what do you call it, multi-storage house, then you have on each story, on each level, you have four apartments, you can say, in 4 different directions. So these are the horizontal apartments in the house. And you need to heal in all those 4 apartments on each level in order to level up. So unless both the mindset and the behavior and the culture and the system are healed and in congruency, or what you call it, somehow, they need to be playing the same melody. Unless they are, you cannot level up. I'm not going to talk so much about this now. You can photograph it if you like, and we can talk more about it another time. I just wanted to show you how this hangs together somehow, and how we need to integrate. Now, not many people or groups can do this integration, because very few percentage of the world's population are in this level of awareness. So if you have any understanding of this, you need to help. You need to start leading. You need to start helping now. It's a question of maybe 5% of the world's population. You need to help. If you understand this, you need to help. There are different tools, of course, for different stories, for different levels of awareness, and for different contexts, and for different prerequisites. I mean, this is very natural, of course. The risk is if we are too much in a hurry to lift to the next level of awareness, we can be subject to what I call a paradigmatic flu. This is what I mean by this is, like in Sweden, if you in the spring, you know, we have winter and snow and everything, and then in the spring everyone runs out because they see the sun and they think it's summer now, and so they have no shoes and they run out and they're so happy, and then they get a flu because they're too much in a hurry to get out. So easy, take it step by step, because otherwise, if you just jump over, for example, if you don't have the equality plans, for example, you need to have the, what do you call it in English, like equal rights between women and men in an organization. You make a plan for that, right? So you cannot just skip that and say that, okay, now we are all holistic and everything, and we just need to hug each other and forget now about all these Excel programs and files and you know, we also need a skeleton in the body. You cannot just jump over these things. Women's rights and equality and whatever it is, plans, policies, yes, we need those too. And also we need the warmth of the heart and everything. So don't jump over it. Then you get a paradigmatic flu. As I said, if you understand any of this, you need to start leading now. How do you lead in a time of crisis? You make sure that you give information and that you're transparent, that you are authentic like that, and that you give true information, not to hide anything like that. You need to make sure that you have wisdom and compassion in every decision. And this you can make sure by using GNH as a tuning fork, and by caring, opening your heart. You can do this by being prepared to be the target of projections. People are going to use you as a target, kind of, you know, accusing you for things and this and that. You cannot get stuck in that. You need to keep your focus on what we need to heal. Don't get stuck in what people accuse you for here and there. I'm saying this as much to myself because I do it all the time. I get stuck and like this. Don't be afraid. Just continue. And then bring hope, healing and meaning beyond the situation that you're in. Someone needs to lead whatever happens. Let it be you. So Faisal Hassan, he wants to start some global network here. I also want to start, I don't have that capacity to create a global network maybe, but I have a program that I'm kind of a community of practice program, the content of such a network maybe. Thinking about a GNH-based community that we are starting now in the winter, based on this 12-step program for global healing that I talked about. Sharing, storytelling, giving inspiration and tools to each other, coaching each other, and finding together sources for active hope and healing. So this is my next plan, and maybe we can collaborate on that. Dr. Hassan, could be interesting. So that was all from me. If you want to take contact with me or something, please do. This is my mail and this is my WhatsApp number. Welcome to contact. Let's stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a thought-provoking session by you. And our audience is eager to ask you questions. There are so many questions in the chat box. I will be reading and will you answer that, ma'am, right now? Okay, ma'am. First question is, how much existentialism help in healing considering the individuality?
How much? Once again, please.
Okay. How much existentialism helps in healing, healing considering individuality?
Yeah, well, existentialism can be, of course, interpreted in many ways, but I mean, it's about choice. It's about understanding that we are the creators of our existence. I mean, it's understanding that we need to make responsible choices, and this is, of course, very important in healing. I mean, the crisis, the trauma that we are in, makes us frozen, so that we cannot make conscious choices. And this is why we need to heal our wounds first, and then to kind of reach the depth where we can make these conscious choices. Because this is what it is to be a human. This is what it is to be, I would say. If we want to return to our source, this is what we need to do. Release our capacity to make conscious choices. And this is what I call existentialism.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, there is a second question. How religion can help in healing?
Well, religion and spirituality is necessary. We cannot heal without it, I would say. And then it can take many forms. Can take many forms. You don't need to be, I mean, you can be an atheist and still be spiritual or existential. We all have questions about life, like who am I? Where am I coming from? Where am I going? What is the meaning of everything? How does it hang together? All these questions we all have. We don't need to have a religion to have those questions. But we need to bother about the answers to these questions. And we need to bother about that individually and together. So, I mean, religion is, I would say, a tool. I would call religions different kinds of languages. You can, I mean, for me, I'm speak many languages. I'm a priest in the Swedish church, but I'm also a practicing Buddhist, for example, and I appreciate many, like the Kabbalah of the Judaism or the Sufism of Islam that Dr. Hassan is kind enough to teach me about. So, I mean, truth is the same as I see it. And then there are many languages to express it. And we need to embrace all those languages, but we also now need to go beyond religion, because we need to mature out of these different bubbles that sometimes where we risk, becoming a we and them. So we are the Muslims and we are the Christians and we are right and they are wrong. And, these dualisms like that, the bubbles that we are in, we need to go beyond them, the bubbles. So that's why we need to include all the religions and transcend, not dismiss them, include and transcend. So very helpful religious tradition or method, very helpful.
Ma'am, there are many more questions. One more is how you can maintain hope. Many times it is disturbing by other people, because of that you start losing it. So how to regain it?
How to regain hope? Yeah, I think this is what we have talked about now. I think that in order to regain hope, don't be in a hurry. First, allow your pain and, allow it. You cannot just skip over it. Like I said, you cannot just skip over one phase like that. Then you will get not only a paradigmatic flu, you will get maybe a real flu also, because it comes into the body. If you neglect your feelings and your reactions, it will take place in the body. I mean, ask me, it's taking place in my body. I know what I'm neglecting and I need to work with that too. I cannot just work with my physical. I also need to work with my spiritual and mental and emotional health, of course. So I think that regaining hope is accept and embrace whatever is hurting, work with it, and then share stories with others. Share your story, come together with others, and share stories where you, search for what is still possible to do. There's a prayer in Christianity which is called the prayer of serenity. And that's where you pray, God, please help me to accept what I cannot change, but also help me change what I can change, and give me wisdom to understand the difference. So search for what you really can change and accept what you cannot change. When you find what you can change, those are the broken pieces that you can build something from together, and do it together. And this is because you also need to lean into something that is larger than yourself, whether it's a community, God, ecology, nature, whatever, something that is more than you.
Ma'am, there is one more question. That would be our last question. Our senior member of WBC, Samita ma'am, she has a question. Samita ma'am, over to you.
Yeah. First of all, good afternoon to ma'am, to the speaker, eminent speaker. You are speaking very nicely. Ma'am, I just want to know one thing, that this gross national happiness, it is some sort of indicator or the parameter. But now during COVID-19, or maybe even in the other developed or developing countries or underdeveloped nation, when there is so much, you can say, the existence of poverty, unemployment, hunger, then how can we use this gross national happiness as an indicator of measuring the happiness among the people when many people do not have that happiness in their mind? What is your answer?
Yeah, well, it's very simple, actually. I mean, it's a measurement, and if we are unhappy, then the measurement will show that, yeah, it's a very low degree of happiness now. And then we will know that. And then we will be able, it's like with my cancer. I mean, the measurement of my body just now shows that, I mean, 2 months ago, it showed that, oh, there is a tumor. I mean, this body is not well. And then I can start working on that, and the doctors can give me medicine and all. And now 2 months later, I mean, the cancer is gone and I have some other treatments. So according to what the measurement shows, we can work on it, and we can help each other, and we can help ourselves and nature to heal. If we have no measurement, how will we know what kind of disease it is? It's a diagnosis, you can say.
So basically, you are talking about that integrity and integration has to be there in between the community, communal development, societal growth, and also humanity among the people, isn't it, ma'am?
Yeah, this is very wise. If you understand this, then anyone in this group who understands what you say now needs to start leading, because we are not so many.
Yes, sir. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Great day to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this question answer. And I hope all our participants' questions has been answered by you. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I request now Ms. Vaishali Ojha to introduce our next speaker of the day, Dr. Daud Salim Faruqui.
Thank
Over
you,
to you,
Aarti.
Vaishali.
Thank you, Aarti. Am I audible?
Yes.
We are privileged to have among us Dr. Daud Salim Faruqui, an Oxford alumnus and a humble, meek, docile human being. Dr. Daud has been a citizen of leadership in his academic career from Aligarh to Oxford and back. He has been treading on a road less traveled for years now. Finally, the tree that was planted by him in India seems to have borne fruits. One of the first evidence-based researchers of India, his think tank, FEDI and CEPPI could be credited with popularizing EBP in India. A man who wears many hats. Dr. Faruqui is an Oxford University alumnus with degree in evidence-based policy, EBP. He is executive director of an Oxford-based research think tank named Oxford Evidences and Intervention Oxyven in the United Kingdom. His work is focused on evidence-based approach that empowers research, policy making, and guidance of practice and interventions. Sir has made an exemplary contribution to the Indian society by transporting the methods of policy synthesis and calibration of interventional practices to the country. For this purpose, he has established the Foundation for Evidence-Based Development in India, FEDI, which is promoting evidence-based methods in the country. The foundation aim runs a research center and a publication division that contribute to the empowerment of evidence-based approach in India. Dr. Faruqui has worked with renowned academicians and policy experts such as Professor Paul Montgomery, Professor Francis Gardner, Professor Kenneth MacDonald, and Professor Hamida Ahmed. Thank you so much, Dr. Faruqui, for accepting our invitation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oja, for such a top order introduction. I think it is over the top for a humble man like me. Anyways, thank you very much for having me here. At the very outset of my expression here, I would like to acknowledge the contributions of Dr. Faisal Hassan, who gave a wonderful account of GNH and well-being here, introduced it very well, that what is happiness, why it is important in a national scenario, and how we can improve ourselves, improve our quality of lives if we follow GNH standards. Also, we had Reverend Dr. Rosengren. She has been instrumental in adopting GNH standards from Bhutan and then promoting the happiness and its effectiveness around the world. Thank you very much, Dr. Rosengren, for sharing with us the importance of connectedness, reconnectedness, sharing, storytelling, spirituality, and self-contentedness. I'm sure these experiences would be well adopted by the needy people who need more happiness or to improve the happiness indicators. All right, thank you. And then I am here as a man of evidence. I am an evidencist, so-called Dr. Faruqui. And when we are discussing happiness and spirituality, what a man of evidence is doing here. Please allow me to share with you all my personal experience first and why I am here talking here, and also why I do not prefer to share my ideas with the help of a PowerPoint or PPT, but rather I want to be in touch with you directly. This particular talk is a kind of restart for me in my activities. For last 3 months, I was off the internet and away from all those online events and symposiums and talks, because you can figure out I am a sad face Dr. Faruqui sitting before you. I was personally struck badly by COVID. I barely survived. I lost my mother. I lost my members of my extended family. So I can feel the unhappiness. I can feel the sadness. And when Dr. Rizvi told me about this GNH symposium, I thought that it's right time to come back and to share and to see that how my knowledge of research and evidence could contribute to the knowledge of GNH and its practicality in developing countries particularly. So my objective to come here to talk is just not to pep up myself, but to present an agenda of how we can restore happiness around us in a very systematic and organized way. So that is why you see that the topic of my talk is salience of evidence in restoring happiness in post-COVID world. So we see with concern that society around us has almost been pulverized. It has gone topsy-turvy. Every family around us has some story to say. So when we connect this phenomena of experiences of unhappiness or sadness or depression, and we know scientifically that we need to be happy. We need to come into the gear of subjective well-being uh, in order to work properly, in order to survive in this harsh world. Uh, we need to happy again. We need to be happy again. So what is the approach? What is the likely approach we can go for? Mm, referring again to the previous two talks, I would say that we have knowledge about various roots, just like spirituality. Of course, spirituality is an elusive and but inferable phenomena, which casts a positive impact on our well-being. So we may go for um, such an approach, and we naturally go for spirituality and religiosity in order to see contentedness and well-being and feeling of happiness as well. But again, I would like to go back to the last question by Dr. Sen Gupta. Um, she raised a very relevant question that how GNH as an indicator or as a tool to improve the society might be able to provide a feeling of happiness to the poverty-ridden populations who have experienced COVID-19. So that is why, I mean, we need to think it in a multi-layered, we need to think and consider the issue with a multi-layered approach, that we need some comprehensive intervention, which is well studied and impeccable in its formation. Please allow me to introduce that I am trying to approach, as Ms. Roja has also told you, I'm trying to follow the approach of evidence-based policy, which might be able to improve the quality of life in the country. When we talk about the evidence related to happiness, we need to carry out life evaluations and measures of positive and negative emotions. So the experiences uh, which are inferable, of course, but these are sometimes hard to measure without some specific tools. But you can particularly specifically understand their effect. We need to measure the intensity and the level of such emotions, and review and extend the evidence on the links between trust and well-being. Then this is the model which provides us a hope that we can go in the direction of evidence-based approach, which helps you to measure the level of happiness in the society and to decide whether we need to inject more happiness through some design interventions. So therefore, we can say that evidence lets us know objectively that what really works uh, to make us more happy and how we can inject or infuse more happiness whenever it is required in the society. So I have identified a few sources which to which the evidence objectively supports that these sources might be able to improve your happiness. Uh, of course, with their own conditions. So one of those is consumption of goods and services, and particularly the leisure consumption, which is one of those type of consumptions that helps you to improve your connectedness. So global evidence has suggested that this is one of the sources that helps you to improve the level of happiness amongst us. Uh, another set of data taken from 32 countries has suggested that economic development in its totality is also able to contribute to subjective well-being, improved subjective well-being amongst the citizens. So now we can see the path that how we are able to approach the happiness. Referring again to the previous experts who shared about their own experiences, but I would say that these these efforts are quite localized, and they are working very finely in their own settings, in their own localities. But when it comes to evidence-based policy approach, uh, the approach gathers your experiences or your data in the form of refined evidence from different locations. It collects the information, refines it, removes the biases, and then it sees the causal relationship uh, between uh, your dependent variable, that is happiness, with all those variables such as consumption, such as spirituality, such as economic development, and then it lets us know that how an overall policy or overall strategy to deal with low level of happiness could be developed. So the third factor, which is scientifically known as contributing to the level of happiness, is education. Anyways, if you made me to study as a child, if you made me to study, I will be most unhappy person. But here as well, for older people as well, education is not a direct factor which improves your happiness. Education makes you more confidence. It lets you to be able to do a better self-estimation, and uh, when you are more confident and you are able to do self-estimation in a better way, then and you are more employable, then you are more happy. So education has a pathway to make you happy rather than it has a direct way to make you happy. Likewise, identity, sense of equality in general are also an equality as well as sense of collective identity, uh, allow me to say, uh, contribute to your happiness in a very subtle way. It makes you happy. It is not an immediate effect on your personality, but it casts its influence in a matter of time. Income, which was level of income, which was previously known to be a direct factor, is not a direct factor, but it has its impact on happiness. Uh, Another very important and unique factor which might make you happy is availability of public spaces. If you have more, if you have a better, conducive, immediate environment, if you have access to more green spaces, and if you have commercial spaces, if you know the commercial public spaces where you can go and vent out yourself and let yourself loose. These public spaces are also helpful to improve your happiness. And in my choices, the final one is participation in sports. Participation in sports, it has a large study, uh, and the studies are from different countries, and the collated data says, in a nutshell, that higher life satisfaction and sense of happiness is gained with the when you are uh, participating in sports, and it works better on with men than women. But that is another that is another question. So after knowing that uh, these kind of factors are uh, able to contribute to your happiness, and this is a scientific knowledge, scientific as well as objective knowledge. Objective knowledge in the sense that one factor is having a causal effect on another factor. So these six or seven factors are having a causal relationship with happiness, and they are likely to improve your happiness whenever you implement those. So this such kind of evidence, which is improving trust and sense of trust and benevolence, uh, is a strong support for our premise that we can improve happiness in the society in a very planned manner, when we are able to develop intervention that is aiming to improve happiness in the society, and you are rolling it out in an experimental setting. It is most likely that you are going to have better uh, GNH indicator in your society. And of course, it covers all those concerns such as socioeconomic levels, and if an epidemic has affected you, just like COVID has done, is doing with us. So we can say that these are the evidence-based knowledges or information. Another information which I missed to share with you is that it is related to the experience of lockdown. So lockdown is also having a direct effect on level of happiness, especially when under lockdown you are receiving the news of deaths around you in the society, and when your knowledge improves with about the number of deaths in the society, it 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 reduces your happiness. So we can see with concern that such kind of experiences are having a direct bearing on the experience of happiness in us. So this is the reason that we are here to think about the future steps. that how we can improve society, improve with the help of improved GNH. So when we talk about interventions, then evidence-based approach come into action. The interventions which are better called social interventions are mostly complex in nature, because these interventions are not only depending on its internal structure, which are relying on some theoretical development, such as behavior change theories, which are helping to develop interventions. Interventions are testing grounds for theories as well. And when interventions deliver positive results, you can say theory is also a strong premise. So we take help of theories, especially behavior change theories, to develop a core and a structure of an intervention. But when we roll an intervention out, we consider various factors such as socioeconomic status, language, geography, sociology, and local politics, and economics as well. So when these factors are influencing the rolling out of interventions, then an intervention is called complex social intervention. So along with this conversation, I propose that GNH and the factor of happiness is not only to be discussed in academic spheres, but the information should be refined further, and some new actions should be heralded, and policymakers should also be approached in order to make your academic knowledge forceful and influencing the masses. The knowledge which you are developing in your labs or in your academic institutions need not to stay there. It need to be delivered to the society. It need to approach everyone who is unhappy, who needs happiness, and a well-planned, refined intervention needs to be rolled out with intimate consultation with the senior authorities in public governance as well as in academia. Along these words, I come to an end of my conversation, and any questions which might be there, please let me know about them. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge, valuable knowledge with us. There are some questions in the chat box. I will be reading that for you, sir.
Sure.
How happiness can help in making policies in India?
Well, basically, this is the question. This is a relevant, but the question other way around. Today, we talked about how to improve happiness with the help of policy. So the person who have asked the question should be told that first we are trying to improve happiness with the help of policy. Then, I mean, would you be kind enough to repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. 1 minute. How happiness can help in making policies in India?
Well, the question should be how policies can make more happiness in India. And that is what I have just talked about.
Okay, sir. So next question is, how much evident is to say that need is not the main indicator of happiness?
Sorry, I lost your voice for a while.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, sir. Yeah. How much evident is to say that need is not the main indicator of happiness?
What is not main indicator of happiness?
Need.
Yeah. Basically, the factors, the 7 factors which I had just mentioned about, like consumption, economic development, education, these are the needs which fall on a pyramid of hierarchy of need, I would say. So, of course, need satisfaction is the most important factor, because when we feel ourselves in scarcity, when we feel that something is missing with us, we feel unhappy. So when we are in need, we are likely to be more unhappy, and when the need is satisfied, we are more likely to be happy. So there is a direct relation between need and happiness.
Okay, sir, there is one more question. It says that what is the difference between happiness and joy?
Oh, you need a psychologist for that. Uh, or maybe you can do a self-assessment then, that when you are feeling, you are having a feeling of joy, and when you are having a feeling of happiness, and you should be intelligent enough to be able to differentiate between both. But my limited understanding says that joy is an immediate feeling, and happiness is something which is more durable. But both go on a same axis. Yeah, it's a nice question.
Now on that series, there are coming so many question difference between this and this. Like one more question just popped
Hello.
up.
I also have a question if that is allowed.
Hello.
Yes, Faisal.
You-
Yes, Faisal sir. Yes, sir.
So my question to Dr. Faruqui is that since need, joy, and psychology have been mentioned, so do you think that the GNH and joy and happiness and need, since need is mentioned, do you think Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy pyramid has some space that joy or happiness should be docked somewhere, like somewhere on the pyramid?
Well, if you unfortunately, Abraham Maslow is not present in this world now, so you cannot take permission from him to modify his own theory. Possibly, you would like to develop your own theory along with those lines and introduce joy and happiness on the top. But self-actualization stays on over there. That's
Hello.
a relevant question. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Yes,
Can I
Dr.
enter?
Singh.
Yeah. First of all, good afternoon. You are speaking very nicely, sir. I just want to see this gross national happiness, that concept today we are discussing. Now, this concept, how much it is applicable from the point of view of India's development, qualitative development, and what is your perspective and what is your viewpoint about India on this aspect?
Dr. Said Gupta, perhaps you missed that I started my conversation with your question, with
I
the
was
reference
there,
of.
sir.
Okay,
I was there.
so I was trying to cover that. You have mentioned about that inequality, economic inequality, and injustice in the society, and the factor of poverty, and then when COVID, the lateral entry of COVID-19, that made the already unhappy population more unhappy, and how it could be dealt with. So whatever the premise I have developed, it was in the light of this question as well. And that makes, so I have proposed an intervention which has to be scientifically developed in order to improve GNH around in the country, especially in the developing countries. So when we introduce the covariant factors, just like economy, politics, sociology, and geography. So the most important covariant factor is economy and those personal factors which are coming under the subsections of the society. So that is how we can further analyze. See, theoretically, GNH looks very interesting. The model seems to have seen success in a neighboring country, Bhutan. but how
Yes.
far it is going to be applicable in India, which is a vast country. It is geographically quite divergent. Uh, Bhutan is a small country. It has
Yes.
single mindset. You'll say it has a single geography.
Yes.
Therefore, it has a single mindset because it has a single lifestyle as well. So injecting a kind of uh, um, theoretical and spiritual idea was easy, and to see the effect was easy there. But when it comes to India, it's a tricky situation here, and the country is huge, and the subsections are innumerable. Therefore, the problems and their nature of problems are innumerable, which are influencing our happiness.
Yes.
So dealing with the lack of happiness is a tricky question, but this is what policymakers are for. Yeah, and why they are sitting there and delivering their role. They need to think about the population. So we as academicians and researchers, or maybe thinkers, we need to refine our knowledge. What I propose, that we need to refine our knowledge and to see the covariant apprehensions, consider the effect of those covariant apprehensions, and forward this knowledge to the policy makers in order to make a sound, foolproof uh, policy of intervention to improve GNH around the world, around the country, I would say. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
yeah, welcome.
Okay, anyone has questions?
Anna, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Dr. Faruqui. Very interesting. And I would
Thank
like
you,
to
Anna.
see if you have some articles or some book about your ideas, or some referential links or something, especially when it comes to the complex intervention that you mentioned. Interesting with the complexity, I think so.
I'm a humble researcher of evidence-based policy only. So any subject matter which falls into the periphery, I try to explain it with the help of those methodologies. So I'll be in touch, hopefully, surely. But surely I have your contacts here on this group. Thank you very much.
Also, if I may add, I think that, I don't know if we should mention it now, Dr. Hassan, but the idea that we had, if you wish, I don't know.
Sure. Dr. Hassan is a link between us. So, and he's a strong link, in fact.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
We had an idea about creating, like I said before, a kind of a community of practice, a global network. And Dr. Hassan has already started this global network.
Yeah.
So, and he has also involved you, Dr. Faruqui. So maybe, I don't know, Hassan, Faisal, if you want to say something brief about it.
Yeah, like I would like to mention this. Like GNH is working, and we can see it. Dr. Faruqui, me, and you have met each other because of Bhutan. So somehow we were interested in the concept, and it is working. We can see that. Dr. Faruqui was there for a conference. His think tank organized a conference in Bhutan, Royal Thimphu College. So he was there in 2018. And I met you in Bhutan Paro conference, and I have been like willing to go to Bhutan again. So, like we can organize more GNH events. So the concept is working, and people are taking interest.
Yeah.
We are noticing it every day in our country. Even in one of our states in India, Madhya Pradesh, they established a Department of Happiness, and that was due to the fact that the Chief Minister of the state went to Bhutan and returned to his state with an idea that GNH will be implemented in his state. So there is a possibility. There is an arrangement of union list, concurrent list, and state list in the India's democratic system. So the states have this control of establishing departments and implementing policies of their. So GNH could be implemented in states, whichever chooses to do that.
I think, I think the state is the most eligible candidate of GNH as well, because It is worst affected by COVID-19, and it is the third wave is likely to hit it in a better way. So, well, yeah, of course, that's a good initiative that they have established a ministry, and Dr. Hassan and I and Dr. Reverend Dr. Rosengren have also seen the effect of GNH personally in Bhutan by visiting there. So of course it works. Actually, I can testify that GNH is a real thing and it works. But how well we can get it implemented in our society is another question, which we need to ponder over. Yeah, over to you.
So this was an important conversation. This has been an important conversation, and it was much needed because of the context of COVID-19 and the utility of GNH model. So I personally thank all the speakers to have collaborated for this and given these reflections, these pristine, precious reflections to GNH. And I hope that we will be meeting in the home of GNH soon next year. The conference is coming up in June. So the details
hopefully soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Faruqui, sir. I'm Mrs. Mehdi Pillai. Can I ask a question to you? My question is, with so much of communalization in India, will achieving high level of GNH far from realization, or will it remain as a myth in our country?
To whom the question is directed?
So Faruqui, sir, it is to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for choosing me for this question. Well, first of all, I would say that whenever I was talking as an interventionist, as an evidentist who is trying to develop an intervention which might work, and I also proposed that we need to think about as many as confounders, as many as covariants, as many as the extraneous variables which might interfere or influence the progress of GNH in the country. So thank you very much for diverting our attention towards this communality factor, which I would say is a very important factor. Unfortunately, I have not studied that sociology that explains communal harmony or disharmony and its influence on some happiness indicators, likely influence. So maybe we need to rope in another expert who could provide their knowledge while we are going to develop this GNH intervention.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so from my side, I am saying that I cannot say anything about this.
But I think it is an important angle which should be incorporated when we are talking about GNH.
This is the most important one.
Yes,
I would say. I appreciate that you mentioned it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, will you take more questions? Because there is one more last question we can say. How much does the lack of social security and uncertainty about future influence happiness?
Basically, this is just like written on the wall, that when you are more apprehensive, when you are afraid of something unseen, it makes you more unhappy and more like afraid as compared to a source of fear which is before you, which you can assess. So just like we are afraid of a third wave of COVID-19. We don't know whether it is real or unreal. We don't know the intensity. We don't know the type of variant. So we are more afraid of this kind of unseen enemy. If you see an enemy, somebody is before you having a gun in their hand, and the person is likely to shoot you, you are afraid, but you are able to assess the situation. you are able to think that how can I avoid this bad situation. So in that situation, you are less unhappy. But when you cannot assess the gravity, when you cannot assess the level of danger, you are more likely to be unhappy. So thank you very much for raising this question. This is one of the most important sources of unhappiness, when you are not able to see your enemy. Yeah. So yes, of course, it contributes to your unhappiness and need to be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all the delegates, Dr. Daud Faruqui, Dr. Faisal Hassan, Miss Anna Rosengren, Madam. Thank you so much for this wonderful session and this interaction right now that which we had. Thank you so much. Now I'll just make announcement that our feedback form link is posted in our chat box. Please fill the feedback form. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Every wonderful things comes to an end. Like this session is gonna come to an end, and for that I will request Dr. Kaiful Islam to propose a formal vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to present the vote of thanks. I feel privileged and honored to be the part of this wonderful event. First of all, I'm thankful to the institutions which have given us the green signal to conduct this wonderful event, the symposium. Firstly, to the Vice Chancellor of our university, Mohammad Jauhar University, the Vice Chancellor who gave us the chance and who allowed us to go for this event. And secondly, to the KES Society, the principal, Illusion Ma'am, and to the entire organizing committee for connecting together for this event. Firstly, I'm thankful to Dr. Faisal Hassan for connecting all of us at this platform. And it was the idea of Dr. Faisal Hassan to be globally connected with all those who are having interest in the idea of cross-national happiness. Thank you, Faisal Hassan, for sharing your idea and for introducing the entire concept of GNH and how this resilience and rethinking and the importance of rehabilitation in the society. Thank you very much for speaking up on the topic. I'm also thankful to Anna ma'am for such a soulful, meaningful, and healing session. I'm really thankful to you from the depth of my heart, ma'am. You have given us the concept of, not only the concept of the GNH, but you have survived yourself in this hard condition, which you have told us that how much problem you had, health problems you had, but you not only look happy, you are living happily with these hardships. And we pray for your health, ma'am. I'm very, very thankful to you. And lastly, to our Dr. Salim Faruqui, sir, very, very much thank you, sir. Not only to be the part of this event, for always motivating us to excel in academic arena. I'm very much thankful to you. You have been a big brother, you have been a guide, you have been a mentor to both me and Dr. Faisal Hassan. And thank you very much for talking on this topic. You have not only presented the evidence-based practices and the role of policy making in this model of GNS, but the way you have answered the question, it has cleared the concept to every individual who has posed the question to you. I'm very much thankful to you, Dr. Faruqui, sir.
I appreciate your acknowledgements. Thank you very much.
And I'm thankful to the entire organizing committee of KES societies BK Shroff College and BK Shroff College of Arts and Humanities and the College of Commerce. Thank you everyone for being the part of this wonderful event. I'm also thankful to the entire community, the participants who has made this event, this symposium, a wonderful and successful event. Thank you for being the part of this idea of this event, and we will be meeting with the new things and new ideas in the next sessions and other events also. Thank you, Aarti ma'am, and thank you, Vaishali ma'am, for being there every time, for making this, for being helpful to make this event successful. Thank you, everyone. And with these words, I'm ending up the session also. Thank you. Over to you, Mohammad.
That is a very wonderful organization that was well organized. I appreciate Dr. Aarti and Dr. Oja for their valuable efforts over here. Very nicely organized event I have experienced. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. With everyone's permission, shall I end the session? And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anna ma'am.
Thank you.